Okay, everybody, I'm really excited about this one. I want to introduce you to Pramila Jayapal, and she is running in Washington's 7th District. This is a seat that is being vacated by Jim McDermott. Most progressives know about Jim McDermott. This is an important seat. A Democrat's going to win, but we've got a primary going on here, and this candidate, Pramila Jayapal, is the progressive in the race. She deserves so much support from us, and I hope that today we will be able to give it to her. Her background is so interesting, I want to read it to you. She's an Indian-American activist and politician. She's represented the 37th Legislative District in the Washington State Senate since January of 15. Before her election, she was a Seattle-based civil rights activist, serving until 2012 as the founder and executive director of One America, a pro-immigration advocacy group. She also founded Hate Free Zone, after the September 11 attacks, an advocacy group for Arab, Muslim, and South Asian Americans targeted in the wake of the attacks. She was born in India, but she was raised in Indonesia and Singapore. She came to the United States in '82 at age 16 to attend college. She got her BA from Georgetown University in Washington, D.C. She got her MA from Northwestern, and she became a U.S. citizen in the year 2000. I mean, is this exciting? Is this an example of really representing America and America at its best, or what? Pramila Jayapal, I'm so happy to meet you and welcome to the summit. I'm just thrilled to introduce you to everybody who's watching.
Thank you so much, Marianne. Such an honor to be with you, and I'm really excited to be running for this seat and really bringing all of that civil rights movement building, progressive change experience, hopefully, to the Washington 7th.
You know, Pramila, one of the things that is an interesting theme in my mind is the fact that it seems like among conservatives there's a transition from activist to candidate more than there is among progressives. You have such a great background, but a lot of people with the kind of background that you have, with the hate-free zone, working with immigrants, working on these civil rights issues, don't become candidates. So I'm fascinating, and I think I'm particularly fascinated because you're a woman. What was that psychological process for you that led you from activism to candidacy and to leadership? Already, you are in the state legislature already, obviously.
Yeah, no, it really was a big decision, actually, because for 25 years I've been an activist on the outside, organizing, building movements, starting Hate Free Zone, which later became One America, building that to the largest immigrant advocacy organization in the state. But what I realized back in about 2005 or 2006 was that, we really needed to be much, much more engaged in the politics, the hard politics of what's going on. So we started with voter registration, registered over 23,000 new immigrant citizens to vote, largest voter registration drive in the history of the state. But still continuing on, I finally decided to get into actually running for office because we are ceding too much space. As progressive organizers, we are ceding way too much space on the political side. We need to be electing movement advocates, movement electeds into office so that we can start to organize on the inside and make that connection between the inside and the outside, really make democracy and government real for people. And so I decided to run for the state senate, and it's been an amazing opportunity to see how much we can do if more of us movement candidates start to get elected, start to run for office, and actually go on the inside to try to see how we can organize and shake things up on the inside. Because, there are a lot of people that'll take good progressive votes in this district in particular. It is a democratic, safe democratic district. But the question is not, can you take a progressive vote? I think that is too low of a bar that we set for our elected officials. But can you actually fight and build a movement to move and create the political space that you need in order to pass the change that you want to pass?
If I could just yell hallelujah. You articulated so perfectly something that I think is so important for more progressives to understand, that we need progressive activists inside the government working for these issues that so many people are already working for outside, but so many people have become so cynical about the political process, and that's why we need more than a cultural movement. We need a political revolution at this time.
Right.
What would you do with the power given you as a U.S. Congresswoman? What are the issues that you feel most strongly about, and how do you feel that you could affect some changes?
Well, the top issues for me, and they mirror a lot of the issues I've been working on for my whole life. You mentioned sort of the American dream story that I've had, And I've really spent my life trying to create an American dream for other people because it's disappearing far too quickly. So income inequality and specifically raising the minimum wage. I was on the committee that helped raise the minimum wage in Seattle to 15. It was a huge deal here. Introduced a statewide minimum wage bill on my third day in the state Senate. I believe we should be raising the minimum wage, getting rid of tipped wages, making sure that we're really paying people a wage that allows them to live with dignity. Same thing with paid safe and sick days, gender equity pay. Those are all pieces of how do you live day to day in a way that's dignified and that your work is respected. So that's issue number one for me. Number two, I really believe that we have to invest in our young people and those who are aging. So that's 2 and 3 really. 2 is how do we make sure that young people are not getting turned off of going to higher education, but actually get to have debt-free college, that we are saying to them, look, we are investing in you today so that you can come back and invest in the society in the future, and you should not be burdened with mountains of debt that chain you, make it impossible really for you to live your life. Same thing with our elders. Social Security and Medicare are 2 of the greatest programs we've had in the United States because they say, if you invest in we, you invest in me, right? I will take care of you as you're getting older, our collective together, and then you take care of me as I'm getting older. And we should not be talking about cutting Social Security and Medicare. We should be talking about expanding it through things like scrapping the cap and other really important ideas that allow us to be completely solvent. There's no solvency issue here. There's a political will issue here. So expanding Social Security and Medicare, and then finally climate. Really creating a clean jobs economy and preserving our climate for the next generation.
So when you talk about debt-free college, are you more along the line of what Hillary Clinton is talking about or more on the side of what Bernie Sanders is talking about? I don't want to put you on a spot here about endorsing, but which plan do you support?
I think we should not have, we should be allowing people to go to college for free. So it's not about, and the bill I introduced in the state Senate this year was for free community college for everybody. We called it the Washington Promise. If anybody who doesn't have a higher education degree and wants to go and get it, so not just kids coming out of school, but we've got an older generation that also hasn't had the opportunities that they should have had. So my plan would have provided free community college for 2 years for everybody in the state. And you know what? It probably would have cost us a mere $95 to $120 million, which in my mind is a drop in the bucket compared to the investment that we get back.
It's really a numbers game, isn't it? We just need more people. One of the things we see on the summit, more and more people who are basically echoing everything that you're saying. We just need more of those people in Congress.
That's right. That's right. And more of us who I think represent the diversity that is our environment. I'm the only woman of color here in the state Senate. And I think I would be one of very few immigrants, people actually born outside who have immigrated to the United States. If I made it to Congress, I'd be the first South Asian American woman ever in Congress. But all of those things, I think, are part and parcel of what we bring through our experiences and our lived experiences of the realities of so many people on the ground. And I hope to be able to inspire a lot more young women of color, a lot more women a lot more activists to really be engaged in democracy. I'm really proud to have endorsed Bernie Sanders.
You have endorsed Bernie Sanders?
I have endorsed Bernie Sanders, and
I even love you more.
I'm the only one in the race who has. There's 6 people running, and I'm the only one out of the 6 of us that's endorsed Bernie. And I did that because I think Bernie is really speaking truth to power about the systems and the systematic failures that we have, that we must change, that keep everything rigged for the 1% and not the 99%. And I'm a fighter. I take on issues long before they're popular. And, I took on the civil liberties abuses of the government post 9/11. And I believe that this is another place where we really have to stand up together collectively and say, you know what, the systems are not functioning the way that they should in order for the regular working class, middle class person to be able to live a decent life.
An extremely important point. It's not just this issue and that issue. It's that the entire system has now been harnessed for the purposes of increasing short-term economic gain for multinational corporate forces, period, sort of end of story, so that, as we now know, we're not really functioning as a democracy, we are functioning as an oligarchy. And we need to do more than lessen the pain that people are experiencing because they're at the effect of this. We have to challenge the forces that make all this suffering inevitable.
That's right. It's the underlying roots are bad. You can, if you have a dead tree, you can cut off the branches. It's really not going to make a difference. You actually have to water the roots. You've got to tend to that earth and that soil, and you've got to completely fix what's underneath. Because I really believe that at the core, what we need to do is operate from a place of generosity and abundance rather than scarcity and fear. And if you look at what Donald Trump is saying and what Ted Cruz is saying and what many of the Republicans are saying, it's be afraid. Be afraid of people who are not like you. Be afraid of the Muslims. Be afraid of the Syrian refugees. Be afraid of the immigrants. Be afraid of, poor people. And I believe that actually the great beauty of the human life is that we are very similar in spite of all of our differences. We come from the same core. So I try to bring that into my activism and into my politics. And I even bring it onto the Senate floor. I think I was the first person that read a Rumi poem on the Senate floor.
Well, what could be more? Nothing would make me happier than to think you can read a Rumi poem on the floor of the U.S. House of Representatives. And if it's on C-SPAN, I will be applauding, and I know a lot of people. And tell me, how is the race going, Pramila?
It's going really well. We're so excited with the momentum. In fact, last week we rolled out a whole slew of wonderful environmental organizations and individuals who endorsed me. So Bill McKibben has endorsed me. Friends of the Earth has endorsed me. Paul Hawken, Nina Simons from Bioneers. Really wonderful group of people. Phil Radford from Greenpeace. So we're feeling very excited about that. This week we'll be rolling out our first slate of 5 early labor union endorsements. So excited to have workers with me that know I've been fighting in the streets and on the picket lines and at the bargaining tables with them for 25 years. And so we're feeling a lot of momentum, a lot of excitement.
Pramila, all my very best to you. Any other final words that you'd like to give to our audience, just so that they can know even one more layer of who you are and what you stand for?
Just a huge shout out to you. I mean, really, just a huge shout out to you and the Progressive Summit. I think this is how we create change. We create democracy one at a time. We build it one person by one person. And so hopefully there are lots of people out there that are helping us build our democracy. Thank you for everything you do and for all this inspiration you've given to me and others over the years.